Hello everybody. Good day to you. It's Friday. We are starting our textures today. Okay, so got a lot to cover. I don't know how long the video is going to be, but be patient. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a couple different things. Okay, first we're going to texture our roof of the hangar. Okay, then we'll see where we go from today. I'm not very organized today, so I'll do my best, but I won't try to make it too difficult for this Friday so your heads don't explode for the weekend. Alright, so what we're going to do is let's bring up our Google Earth Pro. Alright, and if I zoom out, okay, past many videos we've been looking at Google Earth Pro and doing our 3D stuff. Alright, so now we're concentrating only on textures. Alright, so in Google Earth Pro, if I hit R, it gives us a straight down view. Okay, if we look at the hangar in with the 3D buildings turned on, the roof looks white. Okay, however, in real life it's not white. Okay, so Google Earth has some of its own rendering kind of stuff going on. All right, so if I turn off 3D buildings, you're going to notice that the roof is more of a silver look. Okay, now the date of this image I believe is like 2015, maybe 2017. I'm not really sure the date, to be honest with you. Okay, however, I'm trying to get my thought here. I believe that Google is using an older photograph. Okay, now if I go into being in Ohio, United States, we have a depository for data. Okay, that we can go to any county in the state and we can download high resolution aerial photos. Plus we can get LiDAR data. We can get tons of data. Okay, and I do geographic information systems for a living, basically. GIS. I'm a cartographer, and what I've done is I downloaded some data. Okay, so here's my GIS software, and I downloaded a aerial photo that was taken in 2021. All right, and if we look at the roof compared to Google, there's some differences. Okay, now this is this aerial photo that we're looking at the roof of the hangar. Even though it has a 1 foot pixel resolution, I mean, for aerial photo reasons, it's really good, but it's kind of pixelated anyway. But if we notice, since Google's photo and the aerial photo for this county that was done in 2021, they've fixed the roof since that time. All right, they've repainted it, resurfaced it, and it looks nice. Okay, but you will notice that it is actually a silver color. It's not white like Google Earth shows. Okay, but the only thing I don't like is that I don't like the graininess two things I don't like about this aerial photo. It is pixelated when you zoom in a little bit too much, okay? Plus, the sun angle that the aerial photo was taken, this side of the roof is really shiny, and this side, it's so shiny that it looks white, and then over here, you get the silver look to it, okay? So if you're using aerial photos, and that's what we're going to do, is we're going to drape an aerial photo over our roof so we can get a roof texture to it on how it looks in aerial photos, okay? But the caveat to using aerial photos, you have to consider the sun angle that was used and things like that, because if you use an aerial photo, they're going to show up on your model, the shadows and stuff, how the photo was taken will show up on your model. Okay, so you have to make that decision. Unless you want to go to a PBR texture, which we'll talk about in another episode. But in this case, even though I like, in terms of being a cartographer, I like aerial photos for the work that I do. For doing Flight Simulator, I would not use this aerial photo, okay? Even though I like it. So let me minimize my GIS software and let's go back to Google Earth. And to be honest with you, this photo isn't really all that bad. Now, Google Earth has some algorithms and stuff that they do to help the resolution of their images. Okay, it's proprietary to Google. Google Earth, Google does some good jobs. They really do. And I'm saying this as a professional cartographer and a remote sensing scientist. They do a good job with their stuff. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make the decision that I am probably more happy with the Google Earth stuff than I am high-res aerial photos in this particular case. So we're going to date our building back a few years, and we're going to get this tar patch and some tar patches on our roof and stuff like that. Okay, so how do we get this image to a place that we can use in our texturing? Okay, I say okay a lot, don't I? Sorry. Okay. So let's grab this photo from Google Earth Pro, and to get a straight down view of your aerial, I turned off the 3D buildings, okay, and I hit R to make sure that it's straight down on the image, okay. If you come up here to this button right here where it says save image, and you come over now, when you first do that, you're gonna see a map, untitled map here in the corner, and you're gonna get some other things that show up. So go to map images and turn title, legend, scale, and compass off, so you have a nice clean photo. And you can come over here to resolution, and I always choose the maximum resolution. 4800 by 2953, even though that these aren't divisible by 4, we will take care of that in another piece, another free software that we're going to use. But I always choose the highest resolution, and then I save my image. And I am going to save my image in my buildings package sources, model lib, and I'm going to save that in my model lib directory, okay? And I've done it once, so I'm going to just do it again. So I'll just cluk. I'm going to cluk my mouse. I'm going to click my mouse on Tim Roof 1, and I'm going to call this Tim Roof 2, just so I don't forget what I did before. And now I'm going to hit enter, and then that's going to take this screenshot basically and save it to your computer. All right, so we're done with Google Earth for now. All right, now we have our building. Now, if you remember in free resources, there's a free resource that I use, and it's a Photoshop clone. It's open source and it's free, and it's called Krita, Krita. Okay, I'm going to start Krita. Starting it on my other screen. I'll bring it over here in a second when it's done. All right, so I have Krita started up, and what we're going to do is we are going to create a new image, and we're going to make it 4096 by 4096. Remember, your texture sizes need to be divisible by 4. All right, now resolution, I just put that by default in Krita. It's going to be 300 dpi, but that's for print quality. Okay, you can bump that down, and I put it down to 72. And then I changed my depth to be a 16-bit image. All right, so knowing that. All right, so I got a 4K image, and then I hit create, and basically that's going to create a big white spot. Okay, now I'm not teaching you how to use Krita. Maybe I'll give a lesson later on in another video on how to use Krita. There's plenty of videos out there. But if you know how to use Photoshop and you don't have Photoshop, Krita is almost identical, okay? And it's free. All right, so we created our new image. I'm going to come up here to layer, and I'm going to import layer. And then I'm going to go to the directory that I saved my Google Earth Pro download to, and it's right here, Tim Roof 2. So I'll click that and hit open. Okay, now you can scale this, make it a little bit bigger if you wanted to, but you don't have to. Okay, but now when I re-export this image, okay, when I re-export this image, since the image that we imported it to is 4K, 4096 squared, okay, when I export this out to a PNG, okay, Google Earth Pro only downloads them as a JPEG. When I export this to a PNG, the PNG is still going to be...
These came back from a search.
Whoops, sorry, my phone is I'm talking to it. All right, so sorry. All right, where was I? Oh, since the image that we created as a new image was 4K, when I export this out to a PNG, it will be 4K. And I'm not concerned with this white spot down here because my focus is the silver roof. Okay, so I got my image imported. It's its own layer. See it right over here. Okay, and to get it as a JPEG, all you have to do is go to File, Export, and then pick a directory that you want to save it into. I'm going to come over here to my projects, screen, scenery projects, go into my Akron Canton, go into my buildings, package sources, model lib, and then I'm going to go into my textures, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to give it the same name, Tim Roof 2, except I'm going to put a .png at the end, all right, and it'll automatically save it in a PNG format. So I'm going to hit save and export it. I just accept the defaults, it's okay. All right, so now we have a 4K image that looks just like this. All right, so I'm going to minimize Krita. Now we have an image that we can map to our roof. All right, now we just have to do a little bit of housekeeping on our roof. All right, I'm going to show you here in a second. So let's select our roof profile from when we built the model. That's the roof. And I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to go to polygon select, because I didn't do this when we built our model. Okay, so I'm going to select polygons. Now remember, the roof has thickness. There's a top, and then there's a ceiling, okay, and then there's some fascia along the edge. All right, for this particular layer or object or texturing, I don't want to texture my ceiling with that image. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the polygons that make this roof. All right, so I'm going to select all these polygons, make sure I don't get the ceiling or the the fascia along the edges of the roof. All right, and then I'm going to hit P to create a new selection. Move those objects to a new selection, and then I'm going to rename roof profile 001 to roof, and I'm going to call it roof deck. All right, so now roof profile, our original, is only the fascia and the ceiling. Okay, eventually I'll split the ceiling out. Okay, roof deck is only the top faces of our roof. Okay, it's only the top faces of our roof. Let me select the deck. All right, go into tab, and it's only the top faces. All right, so get out of that. So I'm not in edit mode now. All right, now what we need to do is UV unwrap our roof. Okay, so let's go into UV editing. And UV editing always goes back to the view that you did before. Okay, but I'm going to hit A to choose all the polygons of our roof, and then I'm going to hit P, a period on the number pad to focus in on that selection. You with me so far? Okay, now we're going to UV unwrap our roof. Okay, we have all the polygons of our roof deck selected. Sorry. So you're going to come up to UV with all your polygons selected, and you're going to go Smart UV and uncheck the stretch. Okay, because I want to keep the aspect ratio of the roof. Okay, I don't want to distort it. So I'm going to uncheck stretch. All right, keep correct aspect. Click OK, and that's going to map all our roof polygons inside this square. Okay, now if you want to rotate those on your canvas over here, just hit A to select with your mouse cursor in this box. Hit A to select all those polygons, and we're going to rotate those in the negative direction because I want this corner kind of corresponding like it is over here. All right, so I'm going to hit R, and I'm going to rotate that -90. Okay, so it rotated it to the left, okay, counterclockwise. All right, and I want to move my image. I'm going to turn off snap, hit GX, and I'm just going to slide my roof over. And if you want to be more precise, hold your shift in and it moves it slower, just so my roof is inside this UV canvas. Okay, now let's go get us our roof image to paste on these polygons. Now we'll be doing some moving again. Okay, so we need to create a material. All right, so come over here to the material properties and click X to get rid of material, and then click new, and where it says material.001, rename that to, let's say, roofing, or whatever you want to call it. It's totally up to you. Okay, all right, so our new material is going to be called roofing. Now remember, you have to have the Blender to MSFS add-on enabled. Okay, plenty of videos on showing you how to do that. I've showed you in the last video how to get it. Okay, but I'm going to assume right now that you have it. Most of you probably do because you guys are doing scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. All right, so you come over here to the material properties, and you've created your new material called roofing, and you're going to come down to MSFS material params, and you are going to come down here to material mode, and you're going to select MSFS standard. Okay, then you're going to come down to where it says albedo, and you're going to click open. And then you're going to migrate over to where you saved that GoogleEarth image. Okay, and we saved that in our wrong place. There we go. We saved that in our model lib texture directory of our model. Okay, and so I'm going to come down and see if I can find timroof2.png, which it's right there, and I'm going to open that image. And that's going to put that image in the canvas, your UV canvas. Does that look familiar to you? Okay, so we have a 4K image, and we have our roof overlaid on it. Okay, but it's not the right size or orientation. We're going to fix that, just like I did in the last video when I gave you the primer. All right, so let's come over here to our right viewport, our shading viewport, and change that to viewport shading. What am I in right now? I'm in viewport shading. Okay, click this one. There you go. So you see how it drapes our photo on our roof based on our UV unwrap, right? Okay. I'm just going to call it wrap for now on. Oh, no, I won't. I'll probably call it UV wrap. All right, so now what we want to do is scale our polygons, our UV unwrap, our wrap, to fit the roof of our building, right? Okay. You do all your scaling over here. If you did your scaling over here, you're actually messing with the model. We don't want to do that. We will only want to mess with the UV surfaces, okay? So what we're going to do is make sure we're hit A in this area to make sure everything's selected. It'll be orange if it is. And I'm going to scale. So I'm going to hit S, and I'm going to scale everything down until it's almost the size of our roof. All right, now it might be a little different for now. And then I'm going to hit G to kind of move that over. And notice what it's doing in our viewport to the right. You can see that our mapping is being transposed onto our model a little better than it was before, right? Okay, so using the scroll wheel, we can zoom in to our UV unwrap. Now I want to rotate that this little notch is down where this notch is of our hangar. So I'm going to hit R, and I'm just going to rotate that around like this until it kind of lines up. All right, and then I'm going to try to place these polygons as middle as possible, and I'm going to click so they're kind of right. All right, now we're going to scale again, so hit S, and hold your shift key if you want to be more precise in your movement, and we're just going to scale that so it's closer to what it really is. Okay, and then I'm going to hit G. So you're going to do some scaling, some S's, and then you're going to do some G's, and you're going to do some more rotating. You're just going to fine tune all of these polygons to fit your roof better. Okay, so we're going to park it right here. All right, now looks like we can probably rotate that just a little bit. So R, shift, kind of slowly rotate that a little bit. Okay. And you can also shift in certain, you can also scale in certain directions. All right, and you still have the ability to select the vertices. So I'm going to select these vertices. Now it may distort it a little bit, but that's okay. We're just doing the best we can. So I'm going to hit G, and I'm just going to hold my shift key and move these vertices down closer to the end, kind of like that. Now I have a little gap here that probably won't show up in our photo. All right, but we're getting most. I'm going to select these vertices, except not that one, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I am just going to move these over this way a little bit. So I'm going to G, hold my shift key, and just get those off of the parking lot, kind of like this, so they're on the roof. Okay, scroll out, and now our roof looks pretty good. It doesn't look that bad. All right, now let's go into layout mode, get out of UV editing, and see what that looks like. Now I don't have viewport shading on, so we're going to click that, and so that gives us, we just wrapped our aerial photo of our roof onto the roof of our building. This is the most popular way of texturing. This is what many people have done in FSX and prepared 3D or whatever. Okay, and they carried those habits over to MSFS 2020. Okay, so this is the most popular way of texturing, is using these aerial photos or photos of buildings. Okay, you just unwrap the surfaces, and then in a 2D fashion, and then you map those to a photograph, and that's what we did with the roof. Okay, but you can make some enhancements to this. You're not stuck. Now, if we go back to, I'm going to bring up my GIS software again, and we look at this aerial photo, that roof is pretty shiny. Okay, it's silver paint, right? Okay, if we go into Google, bring up Google, it's also shiny in GoogleEarth Pro as well, right? Okay, so we want to maybe give our roof some shininess to it. Okay, so let's minimize Google Earth, and I'm hoping the light will show good enough for this video. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here to our material properties, and even though we used MSFS standard and our image with our roof, we can do a few things to it using the principal shader, okay, the BSDF. Okay, we can come down here and we can go and which one do I want to use? I'm going to see if clear coat, I'm going to slide my clear coat over and see if that puts a sheen on it. Can you see that little shininess now to it? Okay, all right, so you see this white spot here, that's shiny. See how that shines? Okay, it looks more glassy or marbly in a way, right? But you can play with your clear coat, okay, and get the clear coatness that you want. Okay, now clear coat also has a roughness, and I have my roughness turned down pretty much quite a bit, but you notice the shininess kind of goes away as I move my roughness closer to 1. Okay, roughness of 1 means not rough at all. I mean, means really rough. That means it won't shine at all. Okay, so you can play with your clear coat roughness and your clear coat, how much clear coat you want to put on your actual object. Okay, and that will kind of give that shiny look. All right, now we may want to put some light imperfections to this image. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that next. To put imperfections, you can actually, if you come down here to the MSFS, we have some different slots that we can play with, okay? And the next video, we're going to do PBR textures, and so we'll use these slots more, okay? But for this video, I want to show you that you can bring in other textures to do certain effects on your aerial photo type of texturing, okay? So it's called sorry it's called a grunge map, okay? And to get grunge map, you can go to many different what should I say, sources to find grunge maps, okay? Some of the sites that I have in the description of the video, the texture sites, some of them have grunge images, and they're just black and white images that put imperfections on surfaces, okay? So like if you go to what is the one, if you go to cgbookcase.com, they have a category called surface imperfections, all right? And so I went there and I found an image, and it looks like this, all right? It's not very impressive, is it? It's just this ugly looking black and white thing, right? Okay, this is a surface imperfection, and when you select the surface imperfections, you don't go to a download page, but it brings this up in your browser, and you just right click, and then you save the image as, and then you save it as, it saves it as a PNG wherever you tell it to, okay? So I have that already, okay? And I got to just remember where I put it first. Let me bring up this, okay? I'm going to go into, I think I already have it in my package sources, model lib textures. I think I do already. Yeah. Whoops. So I'll bring that over here. I'm in my package sources, my model lib for my Akron-Canton Airport, and right down here you see that I have, it's called Smudges 01. It's 4K, so it's 4096 squared, and it's a PNG. Okay, so I already placed that in my textures directory. Now we are going to apply it to our photo that we've draped on our roof. All right, so I'm going to come over here to Material Properties, and I'm going to use the metallic slot to insert that smudge, okay? So we can play with the shininess of different areas, okay? Now, with a roughness or a metallic layer, whether it's white or black, okay, those are the two extremes, determines whether it's shiny or not shiny, okay? If I remember, white is shiny, black is not, okay? So anywhere where it has black, it won't be shiny, or it might be the other way around depending on what channels you're using, okay? We'll get into that next time. But anyway, I have that Smudges PNG, so I'm going to come over here to the metallic, and I'm going to click Open, and I'm going to migrate to my textures directory, which there it is right there, and I'm going to find that Smudges PNG, which is right here, and I'm going to click on that, and notice what happens to our image. See these little black smudges that everywhere? Now the roof is kind of smudged already, but I'm not putting the smudges to dirty up my image. I'm putting my smudges to control how the light shines off of my roof, all right? So if I move my mouse a little bit, like especially right here, look at this area right here. You're seeing places on our roof, sorry, that don't shine, okay? So you might have some underlaying pieces of your roof that lost their silver coating or something like that, and they don't shine like the rest of the roof, all right? So that is one way of putting some kind of surface imperfection to your texture, all right? I just used a grunge map and mapped that to the metallic slot in our MSFS parameter, all right? Now, another thing that we can look at our roof is we never did put a subsurface modifier to our roof, so you're getting these striations of all of our polygons, right? Okay, now you can do your model as much as possible, but remember, every time that you add a subsurface modifier, it adds polygons to your model, and they get applied when you export those out to Flight Simulator, okay? So it's like you're adding more polygons. So you really have to be careful with your subsurface modifiers that you don't take away from the frame rates of the sim, okay? For most cases, I would almost use this resolution because these striations don't bother me all that much. But if you want to make them smoother, you can. And we can select, make sure the roof deck is selected, and go into the modifier properties. And we can do an add modifier and a subsurf modifier. All right, notice that now our polygons are tighter. The curve is smoother than it was. If I increase the levels in the viewport, you know, I can go to 3 and it's even smoother, all right? But notice what it does in the corners though. Okay, remember about the creases? So if I wanted to get rid of this curve in the corner, I would go into edit mode and I would select, I can use edge select, hold down my alt key and select an edge, and it selects a loop around, okay? And I can do a shift alt, select this one, and it did these, and I can come down to this end, shift alt, select those, shift alt, select those, and then I can come around this side, do another shift alt. And so all my edges around the edge of my roof are now selected. And then I can come up here to mean crease and change those to 1, and notice how our image gets pulled to the corners. See, if I come up here and I undo that, see how it pulls our texture to the corners? Okay. That's something that you have to work with when you're using subsurface modifiers. All right. All right, so let's get out of edit mode and kind of see what our roof looks like. Maybe a little bit too shiny for my taste. I mean, it's not a mirror, okay? So you can come to your properties of your image again, and of your texture, and we can increase maybe the clear coat roughness to it, all right, to get rid of some of the shininess. And let's bring down our clear coat a little bit. All right, I can see subtleness on my screen. You may not be able to see it on yours, but you can kind of cool that shininess down. All right, so that was method 1 of adding a texture to our model using an aerial photograph. I'm giving you guys the weekends off to play with this method, so you can select different parts of your model, download an aerial photograph just like I showed you, and apply it to different parts of your model. Play with that this weekend, okay? Next week, probably Tuesday, I'll record using PBR textures, okay? A little bit more complicated. I'm going to show you how to use Krita to create that composite layer for ambient, occlusion, metallic, and all that, and assigning those to the red, green, and blue channels and all that kind of stuff. That's what we're going to do starting Tuesday of next week. So I hope you got the most common way of adding a material to your map, to your model. And so take this weekend and practice doing that over and over so it becomes second nature to you, okay? Next week we get into PBR textures. If you haven't, please subscribe, hit that notification bell for upcoming videos Tuesday. And if you're inclined, please support me by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. Thanks for watching, for putting up with me, and I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And I hope this was useful to you. We will talk to you guys later. See ya.